Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are tuned into Love and Law Podcast. This is your girl, Sasha, and I'm bringing you the sauce. Yes, we are here, episode 4. Man, this time is flying by. So glad that you are here with us on this journey to find love and explore the laws of our careers. And so you are tuned into Love and Law Podcast. And tonight, y'all, we have my girls. We are here on Girls Night In. We are going to be chit-chatting about chemistry or character. What are you looking for when you are choosing a mate? And so let's get into the sauce, y'all. I'm going to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves because these are all fabulous women, right? Entrepreneur, boss setters out here conquering the world. And so I'm going to give them an opportunity to just plug themselves and say what they're doing, where you can find them, and then we're going to get into the sauce. So ladies, welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're going to go from left to right. So Yolanda, the floor is yours, girl. Okay, y'all.
Oh, I'm just talking
You
to
were
myself.
muted.
I'm so excited and I'm talking. So again, I'm Yolanda Garrett. I'm here in Florida, human resource industry. I own Garrett's Leadership and Business Management Solution, where I provide high-level executive management to organizations. And I'm here and excited to be with the girls tonight.
Yes, yes, yes. So awesome. So excited to have you here. And so the next we have Sherrivonne Brown.
Hi, welcome. Good evening. So excited to be able to join you ladies tonight. My name is Sherrivonne Brown. I am the owner of Rise FP&A. Rise FP&A is a boutique financial planning and operational analysis firm, and we support distressed operations and help them identify and reduce unnecessary spending. And right now we are supporting the SBA in their efforts to get small business owners applied for and funded with the PPP loan. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to join you ladies.
Awesome. See, y'all, we have boss bays, okay? We have boss bays on deck, okay? I love these ladies. All right, so next we have Jennifer Black.
Hey, everybody. My name is Jennifer Black. I am principal coach and founder of Blacklight Coaching. I am a certified spiritual life coach, and I'm here to tell them why you're mad because I also have a podcast, so you can all check it out. So here I am. Oh, and also I am a small business advocate. I am a member of the National Small Business Association and the Leadership Council. So I'm definitely one to help these small businesses be great.
Awesome. So you guys make sure that you're tuned into her podcast. Tell them why you mad, sis. And where can they find you, Jennifer?
Oh my gosh, I'm on all the major platforms. So you can definitely check my website out, jennifercblack.com.
Okay, and then we're going to be posting all this information so you can find these beautiful, ambitious, gorgeous, like awesome ladies online.
Sasha, you gassing us up real good, girl.
Listen,
I love it. I love it, Sasha. Thank you, girl. Okay. On this self-care Saturday, girl.
Right.
You're making it feel good.
Yes, you guys are bosses, and I love it. And I think that it is so important that for us to surround ourselves with strong women, and this group is a group of strong women. And so I'm so glad that you guys get to hear and they decide to share with you. So next we have Miss Dionna Maria Lewis.
Hey, ladies. so happy to be with y'all tonight. Again, my name is Dionna Maria Lewis. I am the founder and owner of District Legal Group, which is a boutique labor and employment, business law, contract law, and civil rights litigation firm based in the District of Columbia. But we also service locally in the state of Maryland and throughout, and we do federal EEO cases nationally. I'm very excited to chat with my Ross. Shout out to Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Right.
Y'all see this? They just done took over. See?
I told you it was in me, Dionna. You had to let it out.
You know I did. I'm a Neo, so I'm all the way out. Okay,
hey, girl, be out, girl, be out. You see the background? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, all the way out.
Next, we have Tyechia White.
Hi, ladies. I am so happy to be a part of this conversation. I am Tyechia White, a commercial litigator in Washington, D.C. I also am a children's book author. I have one book out now to help children cope with an absent parent called I Didn't Leave Because of You. And I am currently working on my second book that is entitled Little Light, which would be a wonderful bedtime story for you and your little one when you've had a rough day together.
Awesome. And where can they find those books, Tyechia?
Yep, they're also on the various book buying platforms. I can be found at my website, TychiaWhite.com.
Awesome. And next we have Tangi Turner.
Hey, y'all. So I'm Tangi Turner. I am the owner and founder of Turner Legal Solutions. I'm located in the sunny state of Arizona, and I will be relocating to Maryland. So hopefully I'll be out there in the summer. And I'm an immigration attorney, and I also do some business services for my clients.
Awesome. Y'all had to take a sip, okay? Mid-sip. She gonna finish her sentence mid-sip, and I had to stop mid-sip. Thanks, Tangi. I love you, girl. All right, so today I want us to really dive into this topic of chemistry versus character. And I think something that and I thought about this, right? Because y'all know my some of my relationships, okay? One thing that I realized that I was looking at that needed to change was I would meet these guys and it would be the chemistry is great. The connection was so amazing, right? And y'all know because I of course I share, and but the character, when I start really taking a step back and evaluating the person on whether or not they would be suitable as a husband for me, it wasn't there. And so I wanted to hear from you guys if you've experienced a similar situation, and kind of what are your thoughts on this?
Woo, we're getting deep tonight about that chemistry or character. So I think it really depends for me in my early dating career about how old I was and where I was in life. As I'm older now and I am in a relationship long term, so it's more about the character and making those connections and being able to communicate and identify with each other, but respect our boundaries as well and our individuality. So it's over the fence, because when you initially meet people and you see each other and you make eye contact, you feel like that chemistry is there, and then 30 days later it's not. So this is very interesting.
Right. I want to piggyback on Sherrivonne. She brought up a really good point. She said she brought up the age gap differences, right? So it's I'm going in life coach mode. I'm like, okay, so that we were looking for what we thought was cute girls back in the day. Oh my God, he makes me feel warm and fuzzy or whatever.
Right.
But then we started to get jobs, real lives, duties, kids, whatever. And we were like, oh, that's cute, but that ain't enough. So the character comes into play. And then when you realize, you're like, hold on, that was cute. all right, like you said but it's not. Okay. So what we're going to do right here is regroup.
Right.
And you take your break, and I'm going to go handle my situation over here. And you be great, because you got to let go of what no longer serves you, period.
Right. And I think so often as women, we because we think that, because I know, I mean, I can't speak for all women. I can speak for Sasha, right? That I always thought that you needed to have that vibe, right? Like I always thought, man, like if the chemistry isn't there, it's like done, you know?
Right.
Could you let's go a little bit deeper on what we really mean by chemistry versus character? When you said you were attracted to the chemistry, like what exactly do you think was the attraction?
So, yes.
Because I've struggled with this tremendously, and I'm openly proud to go to therapy. I'm grateful to have that benefit. So I have been exploring this a lot lately in my sessions. And so some of that has been a challenge as to, what am I really attracted to? What was the attraction? Was it the, this person kind of seemed unavailable, so they seemed like a challenge? Was it really a physical, like, were you just physically attracted to the person? Right. Like, what was that? Because I've been sitting with myself a lot with this lately.
Right. Well, see, listen, and I'm going to tell you just kind of quick deviation. Like, so my spirit, I am very... So before I got on this podcast, I prayed, right? And I kind of like sensed the whole vibe. I had my little gospel music in here, my praise and worship going, right? Because I feel like, like our spirit moves us and attracts us, right? To where God has aligned the conversation needs to be, right? So that's funny, Tyechia, that you mentioned that. Because I feel like we all struggle as women with the same issue, right? For me, when I'm thinking about chemistry, right, I'm thinking just, the attraction, of course, the looks, right? There's this underlying energy. You just vibe with someone, like just that instant like pull, right? You're like, God, like I can't get enough of this person. Like it's and it feels amazing, but is it realistic, right? Are we being really level-headed when we focus on just that that physical attraction? And I'm gonna move it from chemistry and say physical attraction, because really that's really what it is, right?
I agree.
No, I completely disagree.
I agree that chemistry is usually that physical pull, because character is spiritual.
Right.
So it's like you got to go with the fleshly. I'm just saying. So chemistry is that fleshly desire for somebody.
I think it's partly that, but I think it's also like that chemistry is what you feel and how it's making you feel about that person. Let's say if you meet them out and you're at a jazz lounge or you're at a conference, it just depends on how you're interacting with that person, and you feel that chemistry, that warm fuzzy feeling that you said, Jennifer, and then you're vibing with them, the conversation is good, and then the lights come on at some point. So I think that's the chemistry. That's the chemistry.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, he was great, but I want to meet him tomorrow in the daytime. The lights come on. You're drinking. You're having a good vibe. The music's playing. And you feel that chemistry.
Not the club let out. Oh my
God. A jazz lounge. We already prefaced that. It's a jazz lounge. So then or you're at a conference. You're in the banquet. They always have a ball. And then the next day in the daytime, you're like, I'm not sure. Right. So we need to have some conversation. So I think that's chemistry too. It's not all spiritual. It just, it just may be.
Yeah. So Jennifer was saying like the character side would be the spiritual side. Right.
Yeah. So, character is spiritual.
So I think the character too is more like how they move and, their beliefs, it kind of ties into spiritual too. Right. And it's like
your morals, your moral compass. That's
exactly.
That's
all
what your character is.
All of your character, how you were brought up, what you believed in, all of that.
Right.
All of that.
I don't know, y'all. I feel
chemistry.
Oh, wait.
Go ahead.
I feel like my Libra skills over here are like, why can't you have chemistry and character? You know what I mean?
I'm with you. I was about to say the balance. I believe because you have to balance heart and you have to balance heart and mind. Like, you already know, like, people going through these evolution right now and being enlightened, you're getting a balance between your heart and emotion. It's no longer the I'm cutting everybody off. Nah, it's not cool to keep around, to hang, to
Right.
like keep severing every relationship you have. That means something's a problem, right?
Right.
So, like, everyone's becoming enlightened and wanting to be evolved, and it's like, have that balance over heart and mind. That's called wisdom.
Right.
So it's like,
But I think, though, to Sherry's point, though, it's not just like the physicality is not just indicative of chemistry, right? For me, I want to know, are you passionate about something? Do I see your passion exude in the way you go about your daily life? That is attractive to me, and that will create chemistry. Now, of course, physically he has to be attractive, but there's a ton of attractive people out here, right? That don't mean you have chemistry with them, and I think that's more of kind of the lustful nature of it. But I don't think that in and of itself is really indicative of chemistry. So for me, chemistry is about, like, do I have this gravitational pull to you for some reason? And quite frankly, it's 5 men out here every day, B. That in and of itself, like that in and of itself, you could go to my gym. I'm not even gonna plug which one it is, but you can go there and find them. That don't mean anything, right? It really don't mean anything.
With respect to, and I want to hear before I go, I think Tyechia had a comment on this.
Yeah, so I was just going to say where I think we get in trouble with this, obviously you need to be attracted to the person that you are considering for a romantic relationship, right? Because ultimately you're going to at some point be intimate with that person, and you do need to, like, that has to be there. But I think where we get in trouble is when we have this like fantasy of what we want, and we kind of are like, we put that person into our fantasy, right? And it's going good like that for a little while until the real person, their actual self, shows up. So I think a lot of us are more, at least I'll speak for me, I'll speak for Tyechia. I would get really excited about how I envisioned this person and the perception that I had put on that person. And then what would happen is at a certain point, how they really were showed up. So that's what I see as like really the difference. And that's what I've been working on in counseling. It's just really just.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I think it's the mindset, your want versus need, and based on where you are at the time. I mean, you can go through a lot. It can be trauma, or it could be like a really bad breakup, and then what you're looking for. So you're fishing. So I think it's that mindset of want versus need. And a lot of times they're telling you what you want. It's a fantasy, like Tyechia said, and it's a mirage. But then when reality kicks in, as Sherry states, it's definitely like, wait a minute, the light just came on. What just happened here? And it just shifts your mindset. So you go from what you truly need, and then you find sometimes it's not that physical attraction. It's how are they making me feel at that time, and how frequent and consistent they are with that.
So in the in consideration of looking for a mate, right? So we're all on this journey to find our partner in life, right? Our husbands, right? At least I think that we are.
I think I am. I am.
So
I definitely am.
Yeah, we know Sherry already found hers, so we're not even gonna go down that road,
to be getting
man.
advice from them,
So she could give you a lot of advice. Like, she's amazing. So I think when we're looking for specifically our mate, right? When we think about that, right? Should we consider the feel goods, right? Or should we kind of put those feel goods, like suppress those feel goods, so that, kind of like what Jennifer was saying, so that we could maintain our logical capacity to think it through, right? We still feel the, the bubbles, the feel good, like, ooh, my goodness, he give me the tingles when I see him. Yes, Lord Jesus, right? So should we keep that on in a compartment, right? Should we
I think it's okay.
compartmentalize
I think
that?
it's okay to feel that, and I think it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to experience that because that's a part of that initial entry into a relationship, or into seeking and finding that right person.
Right.
But I think when you start having those conversations and you're out and you're having dinner or you're just spending time on the phone or even FaceTime or Duo, whatever it is, that you start asking intentional questions to
Right.
Yeah.
drive that conversation towards something that you know is going to be relevant for a long-term relationship, or to seek out that relationship to see if it's going to be worth your time to
Right.
continue forward. So I think we have to, as adults and professionals, hyper professionals on this call, I see,
Right.
I love
we
that term. I'm so still in that soror.
Right.
Hyper
go
professionals.
right
I love
ahead.
it.
We have to, learn how to draw from even our professional side and be intentional with that dating. And it's not always about the feel good. There's a time and place for everything, but we have to draw back and say, well, wait a second. If I'm looking to move forward with this person, I'm feeling all great every time I see him and euphoric and have to look up at him,
Right.
we want to then stop and say, wait, let me ask you a question, or you're having conversation over a meal, ask intentional questions so that you can start gauging whether this is relevant, real, and is going to continue, or if you're just going to have fun.
Right.
To
Right.
piggyback off of that, those intentional, relevant questions I've learned from Sherry, it makes them uncomfortable, and it brings out the true them. And you start to say, "Wait a minute, this is not what I know," or "Wait a minute, you were different a couple months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and who are you today?" And I just faced that experience. It was great for a couple months, and then it was like, "Wait a minute." I started asking the intentional questions, and the reality kicked in. Like, "Wait a minute, he's psycho. This is not for me. I'm going to be like in the basement trapped or some shit." So,
I can't.
I'm just saying. So
Not in the
reality
Yes,
kicked
it
Is
in.
we
just
gonna
got
have to
real.
send out we
It
gonna
just
have to
got
dress in
real.
all blacks. We're gonna have to get our all black
Right.
sis.
got
You know?
No, we're not claiming any Omega services anytime soon.
But it
No,
got
I wasn't talking
real.
about Omega. I was talking about us dragging him, honey.
Oh,
That's what I was
see.
talking
Okay,
about.
I see what you're saying.
I ain't talking about
I
no
love it. I
Omega.
love it. Professional, and we still got a little bit snatch back in us.
Listen,
Right. You know.
that's what deltas do.
So
We
I'll
keep it
say this,
together.
Sasha. One, there's no sense in trying to make ourselves not feel the feels. It is part of the dating process.
Right.
But what I am learning, and maybe our married lady on this call can discuss this, but sometimes when there's like a lot of feel good really early, that's called love bombing. And then that's, that's kind of a tactic that narcissistic individuals use, etc. So I am having to shift myself because the guy I'm currently like dating is moving slower than I'm used to, or what my fantasy is,
Mm-hmm.
but it is more consistent. And I do feel like we're getting to know each other on a deeper level. And I have to check my well, he's not like, it's not like it's quick. So I have a good friend who just got engaged, and that was quick. And like, I'm not saying that I think anything is wrong there, but like, I'm having to pace myself and be okay with the slow but steady. So the married women that I talk to say, kind of be careful of that love bombing early and allow for that slow and steady. But you're going to feel the feels. And for me personally, if I don't feel any of that for somebody, it's time for me to let that person go, because I'm not interested, and I don't want someone to continue to interact and pursue me if if they're not interested. So I'll still have to be respectful in that same manner. So that's my 2 cents on that. And yeah, those love bombing things are amazing at first. It's like an amazing 2 months or 3 months, and then it's like, oh, this is a crazy person.
Right.
I want to piggyback off you, Tyechia. So like when I got engaged in 6 months. Okay, like met and engaged in 6 months. It was a total love bomb. Total love bomb. So yeah, so my advice to anybody, slow that train down. Okay.
Yeah. So now I want to kind of like stick on that for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't want the train to be like that, the freight train, right? Let's go get there like a year, 2 years later, though, right? There still needs to be that level of balance. So with the idea of chemistry, kind of what I'm hearing is that chemistry is necessary, right? But it needs to be in a little suppressed box so that we could keep our mind, like keep your head Keep your head.
No, we don't want to have it in a suppressed
Never
box
let us see
because
you
then we're not
sweat.
intentional about it. We don't want to suppress it. We
No.
want to say, oh, I feel this strong attraction to this person, chemistry, whatever. In the past, I've had this experience. What do I need to have my own self do in this moment? We don't want to suppress it. Suppressing things, to me, brings out the worst.
Right.
We want to say, oh, this is really strong. So is this really a connection, or is this more of a repeated kind of pattern that I'm bringing to the table?
Right.
Well,
so when I
you
say
mean it more so as
suppressing,
it's like saying that you're suppressing that physical urge, right?
So I think that it's
Sorry.
necessary for us to suppress those feelings, right? Because those feelings are quite intense. Let's be serious. Once you get too deep, right? So, kind of like you start off and then you start creating, like he became your husband.
It's a hell of a drug.
Right.
Yeah,
He became your husband before you
the
even
lines of intimacy.
Right.
It's harder to think clearly.
Right.
So, everybody's different in how their timing and what they need. But again, I think that's to the communication. I'm very traditional in my movements in relationship, but I communicate that and I take my time. And even though you may feel and you're like, oh my God, I want to move and do these things,
Right.
I suppress that intimacy. Like I keep certain things, there's the touch and the shoulder rub and, those kind of things,
Light.
keep it very light intimacy because I think that builds upon, but actually going the whole 9 and jumping in, with both feet in too soon, it just distracts you. And then you start not paying attention to those signs. You start not paying attention to the words coming out, and we start to make excuses for the behavior, and we don't realize that we are.
Right.
I'll be honest. I think that's actually more of a stereotypical woman manner in which to behave. And for those who are on the call that are my close girlfriends, you all know me personally, I don't date like a stereotypical woman. In fact, I've been accused of dating more, showing my masculine energy, if you will, such that I have been told by men and some of my good girlfriends that I date more like a male might date. Right. So for me, I don't get caught up in fantasy, quite frankly. I really don't. I don't. Tychia's one of my great girlfriends. She's known me through before my engagement, after my engagement ended, before my kid right here sitting to my right, so she's seen it, kind of play out in various forms over the years. Ty and I have been friends for almost 10 years now. So, she's kind of known me through various, like just my 20s, my 30s, and so I think she would probably also agree that I don't date like a stereotypical woman, right? I kind of date, more realistically. I'm not like kind of living on a fantasy. I kind of look at you for who you are, who I think you are, and then I decide if I want to deal with it or not. If I have a physical attraction or a physical chemistry with you, I can actually compartmentalize that and be like, I'm gonna have fun right here. This is the stage I'm in, and I identify that this is not my husband. And then I also tell myself whether or not I'm okay with this stage. And if I'm not, I move forward, right? But one thing I have just done, just being more intentional after my engagement ended a few years ago, was just really tell guys that I'm dating, I'm looking for my husband. I tell them that straight up front, right out the door.
Yeah. And so with that, Dionna, so let's kind of like pull in on that a bit, right? Because when we're dating to find our husband, right? Is it possible, right? Is it possible for you to be all caught up into the feeling, the physical connection, and still be able to evaluate that person's character?
That's the thing.
Suitability.
I don't get caught up into the physicality.
Well, girl, we ain't talking about you. We just talking about is it possible?
I can only speak for myself.
And back, my girl. Here's what I will say. I have struggled with this throughout my life, and I very much struggled with good girls don't do X, and my mother saying, oh, if you sleep with them too early, then they're not going to do that. What I have learned is, after sex, men reveal their true selves, and so everybody has to make a decision for themselves of when the timing is right for them. But in my experience, that man's true character is going to show up after the sex.
So
that's my honest to goodness experience.
Right. So just in exploring that, right? And just so that we can kind of stay within this space for a bit, right? Is it the sex, or is it our process that we're evaluating? Is it us? Is it that we have kind of used the superior, right, power of chemistry or the physical attraction? Are we leading with that, and that we can't see the characteristics, right, because we're leading with that, right? We're so caught up because, so from a scientific perspective, right, the brain goes crazy. That's why I say crazy in love. That is real.
It's
right?
It's the same as most drugs.
Right. So if you lead with just that physical attraction, can you honestly really evaluate the person's character for who they are?
I'd still defer back to the mindset at the time where you are in your life. I think it's always going to be based on that mindset. What are you truly wanting or needing? A lot of times we're going to go after that want. It's that itch. And until you really understand what your itch is, and it may be different with the different individuals you date, it's still going to be whatever your mindset is. And I think a lot of times, our mindset is we want this husband, so we're going to make them fit at the moment.
That's what it is.
So
we're going to make them fit.
It's not the sex.
We're going to go. We're definitely going to.
Say that one more time, please.
We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about that.
Put them in a box. Be like, I want you guys to drive
too deep into that, because we do have a whole entire episode on that. All right, we have a whole entire episode on that. Okay, Mr. Right or Mr. Right Now, we have an entire episode that focuses on just that issue, right? But just in focusing on this, because I think you guys brought up some really amazing points, right? Dionna brought up that she's able to compartmentalize, right? And she's able to evaluate herself and to say, I can put this whole like lovey-dovey feeling in a box so that it doesn't interfere with my judgment, right?
Exactly.
On the person.
To be honest, Sasha, I think you can. You just have to do it intentionally. So I think if you're going to just kind of wing it, probably not. But if
men do it all the time.
Exactly. If you're intentional and you're like, cool, I'm feeling this, I'm going to do it because I want to, but then I'm still going to allow this person to like unfold, and I'm going to say, yeah, I enjoyed the sex, but he's not consistent. So what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like, I think if you are in an intentional space, I do think you can do it.
Now, should we be intentional while we're looking for a mate? Go ahead, Sherry.
Say that one more time.
Should you be intentional when you're on this journey to find a husband?
Yeah,
should you be
absolutely. Something that I can honestly say that I have seen good friends struggle with, and as well as myself in my early dating years, is that we sometimes as women, especially with those outside influences, I think that Tyechia mentioned, of the pressures in the world of women and their dating and what they're doing, we can sometimes not really be honest with ourselves about our expectations in relationships. And even with the compartmentalizing, and we can say it outwardly that, I'm not really concerned, I'm in control, I'm doing this or whatever, but we beat ourselves up mentally. I've seen it happen. We're wondering like why he didn't call when we thought he should call, or what the communication breach was, or, and every day that passes, we risk that becoming more intricate in our relationships, because our expectations continue to grow, but we may not necessarily be communicating that. And even though we have maybe crossed that barrier of intimacy at whatever level, the guy is still doing what he said he was going to do. He's still doing what he communicated. We just didn't hear it.
Right.
Because our expectations for ourselves in the experience and in the relationship have shifted. And we're honest with maybe that really good girlfriend, and sometimes not as much with ourselves, because we're hoping that it's going to be something, and until it becomes a huge problem. And then all of a sudden we get the labels that, we're insecure, or we're too aggressive, or hey, I told you, but we thought we could
Right.
love him through that process and he was going to change.
Right.
So all these things happen. And I want us to just, kind of maybe think about that too, that are we really honest with the communication that we're having and what we're saying and what we're doing in those relationships, because we tend to make it be what we want it to be.
Right.
So I think that's a concern.
But for me, I don't think that hinges on whether or not you have acted on that physical chemistry or not. I think you can still be having all that like mental turmoil,
Right.
and he didn't call when eggs, and I thought he was going to ask me out by eggs.
Absolutely. I think it intensifies. I think it intensifies
Right.
when you become more intimate, but absolutely, you're
I
right.
can definitely,
if it was good.
Right. I can definitely attest to that. And I think we have to, like something Dionna brought up, we have to be very mindful of our state of mind, right? We have to kind of be very self-aware and know, is this something that I can like, where am I, right? Who am I, right? Can I manage to go into this relationship and allow for that sexual component of the relationship to happen, right, too soon? How is this going to affect my state of being, right? And so I think we have to be honest with ourselves. So this conversation was amazing. Oh my God, the time just flies really fast. Oh man. Tangi, did you have, we didn't hear from you, girl.
Well, for me, I've been single and celibate for almost 7 years. So it's 7 years.
That's amazing.
Since July.
Mama got these. What is the problem? Girl, I get it. For the Lord, I get it. But God.
So for me, dating has I don't even want to I'm kind of a little nervous to test the waters because I don't even know what might happen.
Right.
I might just dive right in because it's been such a long time. So
I think, and this is something that really drove at my objective for this podcast is to kind of memorialize my journey, right? And to in hopes of helping others, right? Because I think there's so many things that we do it as a defense mechanism, right? We do it because we are afraid. We're going to like these protective modes, right? Mm-hmm. And we kind of do these things, play out these generalizations in our head, something that we talked about in episode 1, that kind of so that we could protect ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. But if we're really looking to be married, we have to first evaluate ourselves, right? See where we are, and then start setting like intentional goals, which is something that we talked about in episode 2. Intentional goals for our journey to love, right? And so I am so glad that these beautiful ladies decided to take time out on their Saturday night to spend with me. I love them all. They're so amazing in their respective rights. And again, I'm going to have all their information down in the comment section of this published on YouTube. And so you'll have that information there to contact them. And so we appreciate you and look forward to following up on this conversation. Make sure you guys tune in next month for our Girls' Night In. We're going to be talking some more with these beautiful ladies. And so we look forward to that. And any last comments before we wrap up? Ladies?
No, but thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed this platform. So this has been a wealth of information. Again, we always think we know everything. We've experienced a lot. And I think just listening from different walks of life is going to be really critical to understanding where we are as women. And again, changing that mindset, our wants versus our needs.
Or wants versus our needs. Yes, yes, yes. So make sure that you guys go back. If you haven't already, if you're just starting from episode 4, go back and listen to episode 1, episode 2, and episode 3. Because this is a journey. And so you have to start on the embarkation. Okay? Is that a word?
It's a word. It's a word.
It is.
I've had one too many of this wine, so I needed to make sure, because
Thank you so much for having us,
Thanks for
ladies. It was
having
great
me.
spending this time
Thank
with
you
each and
so
every one
much,
of you.
Sasha. This was awesome
Tasha.
talking
Yeah,
with
so
you
we
guys.
are going to
Yeah.
we're going to sign
Thank you,
off
ladies.
here, but we're going to continue our conversation because this is our girls' night in. But we thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you here next week. Yes, that concludes another amazing episode. I am so happy that you have stuck out with me on this journey, and I look forward to being here next week in the same space with you, sharing great energy and elevating our vibrations. And so until next week, I want you to have an incredible week. Stay true to yourself, and remember, the more you pour into you, the more you'll have to pour into others.